Live once again from the parking lot of Sprouts Farmers Market, Farm Fresh Produce in Sacramento, in the beautiful Land Park area of East Sacramento. But the parking lot pretty much looks like a parking lot. So maybe sometimes we'll do something from the park, but not today. Hello, everyone. Yesterday I started reading out of the Equinox Volume 3, Number 1, better known as the Blue Equinox. And the Blue Equinox was published 5 years after the completion of Equinox Volume 1. There was a 5-year lull. And with Equinox Volume 3, Crowley published almost the fundamental announcements and documents concerning his two magical orders, the AA and the OTO. And it was published in America with the help of Charles Stanfield Jones, or Frater Akkad, and our good friends in Detroit were instrumental in its initial publication. We've just come through the High Holy Days of Thelema, and back in April 8th, 9th, and 10th, actually read through the Book of the Law itself, which was dictated then. But it was in the Blue Equinox that Crowley wrote the Law of Liberty. Liber 837. And off the top of my head, I can't recall exactly why 837. Perhaps most of you out there will be happy to correct me or inform me. But it's the Law of Liberty. It's a tract of To Megatherion 666. That is a magus 9 equals 2 AA. That's the full title of it. If you don't believe me, there it is. And I'll hold it up for yes, hi, my adoring curious friends in the parking lot. Okay. No, I'm fine. Okay. They might not understand my digression. It's an AA publication in Class E. Okay, so that's kind of general instructions and documents, I think, official tracts. All the quotations from here are from Liber Legis, the Book of the Law. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. 1. I am often asked why I begin my letters in this way, no matter whether I'm writing to my lady or to my butcher. Always I begin with these 11 words. Why? How else should I begin? What other greeting could be so glad? Look, brother, we are free. Rejoice with me, sister. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. 2. I write this for those who have not read our sacred book, the Book of the Law. And this is I'm going to digress here for a second. And this is kind of nice because I know a great deal, many of my Facebook friends haven't read the Book of the Law and are sort of curious why kindly old Mr. DuQuette is so enamored and so respects this curious document that perhaps people have heard so many horrible things about, and may not. So this is a nice thing for me to read for all of you who haven't yet read Book of the Law, because that's who Crowley wrote it for. I write this for those who have not yet read our sacred book, the Book of the Law, or for those who, reading it, have somehow failed to understand its perfection. For there are many matters in this book, and the glad tidings are now here, now there, scattered throughout the book as stars are scattered through the field of night. Rejoice with me, all ye people. At the very head of the book stands the great charter of our Godhead. Every man and every woman is a star. We are all free, all independent, all shining gloriously, each one a radiant world. Is that not good tidings? Then comes the first call of the great Goddess Nuit, Lady of the Starry Heaven, who is also matter in its deepest metaphysical sense, who is the infinite, in whom all we live and move and have our being. Hear her first summons to us men and women. Come forth, O children, under the stars, and take your fill of love. I am above you and in you. My ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. Later she explains the mystery of sorrow. For I am divided for love's sake, for the chance of union. This is the creation of the world, that the pain of division is as nothing, and the joy of disillusion all. It is shown later how this can be, how death itself is an ecstasy in love, but more intense, the reunion of the soul with its true self. And what are the conditions of this joy and peace and glory? Is ours the gloomy asceticism of the Christian, the Buddhist, and the Hindu? Are we walking in eternal fear lest some sin should cut us off from grace? By no means. Be ye goodly, therefore, dress ye all in fine apparel, eat rich foods and drink sweet wines, and wines that foam. Also, take your fill and will of love, as ye will, when, where, and with whom ye will, but always unto me. This is the only point to bear in mind, that every act must be a ritual, an act of worship, a sacrament. Live as the kings and princes, crowned and uncrowned, of this world have always lived, as masters. Always live. But let it not be self-indulgence. Make your self-indulgence your religion. When you drink and dance, take delight. You are not being immoral. You are not risking your immortal soul. You are fulfilling the precepts of our holy religion, provided only that you remember to regard your actions in this light. Do not lower yourself and destroy and cheapen your pleasure by leaving out the supreme joy, the consciousness of the peace that passeth on all understanding. Do not embrace mere Marian or Melusine. She is Nuit herself, especially concentrated and incarnated in a human form to give you infinite love, to bid you taste even on earth the elixir of immortality. But ecstasy be thine and joy on earth ever to me, to me. Again she speaks. Love is the law, love under will. Keep pure your highest ideal. Strive ever toward it without allowing aught to stop you or turn you aside. Even as a star sweeps upon its incalculable and infinite course of glory, and all is love. The law of your being becomes light, life, love, and liberty. All is peace, all is harmony and beauty, all is joy. For hear how gracious is the goddess. I give unimaginable joys on earth, certainty, not faith, while in life, upon death, peace unutterable, rest, ecstasy. Nor do I demand aught in sacrifice. Is it not better than the death in life of the slaves of the slave gods, as they go oppressed by consciousness of sin, wearily seeking or simulating wearisome and tedious virtues? With such, we who have accepted the law of Thelema have nothing to do. We have heard the voice of the star goddess. I love you. I yearn to you, pale or purple, veiled or voluptuous. I who am all pleasure and purple and drunkenness of the innermost sense desire you. Put on the wings and arouse the coiled splendor within you. Come unto me. And thus she ends. Sing the rapturous love song unto me. Burn to me perfumes. Wear to me jewels. Drink to me, for I love you. I love you. I am the blue-lidded daughter of sunset. I am the naked brilliance of the voluptuous night sky. To me. To me. And with these words, the manifestation of Nuit is at an end. Section 3. In the next chapter of our book is given the word of Hadit, who is the complement of Nu. He is eternal energy, the infinite motion of things, the central core of all being. The manifested universe comes from the marriage of Nuit and Hadit. Without this, no thing could be. This eternal, this perpetual marriage feast is then the nature of things themselves. And therefore everything that is a crystallization of divine ecstasy. Should Lon say that again? Therefore, everything that is a crystallization of divine ecstasy. Hadit tells us of himself. I am the flame that burns in every heart of man and in the core of every star. He is then your own inmost divine self. It is you and not another who are lost in the constant rapture of the embrace of the infinite beauty. A little further on he speaks of us. We are not for the poor and the sad, the lords of the earth are our kinsfolk. Is God to live in a dog? No, but the highest are of us. They shall rejoice, are chosen. Who sorroweth is not of us. Beauty and strength, leaping laughter, and delicious languor, force and fire are of us. Later, concerning death, he says, Think not, O king, upon that lie that thou must die. Verily thou shalt not die, but live. Now let it be understood, if the body of the king dissolve, he shall remain in pure ecstasy forever. When you know that, what is left but delight? And how are we to live meanwhile? Quote, It's a lie, this folly against self. Be strong, man. Lust. Enjoy all things of sense and rapture. Fear not that any god shall deny thee for this. Again and again in these words, in words like these, he sees the expansion and the development of the soul through joy. Here's a calendar of our church. But ye, O my people, rise up and awake. Let the rituals be rightly performed with joy and beauty. Remember that all acts of love and pleasure are rituals. They must be rituals. There are rituals of the elements and feasts of the time. A feast for the first night of the prophet and his bride. A feast for the 3 days of the writing of the book of the law. A feast for Tahuti and the child of the prophet, secret, O prophet. A feast for the supreme ritual and a feast for the equinox of the gods. A feast for fire and a feast for water. A feast for life and a greater feast for death. A feast every day in your hearts, in the joy of my rapture. A feast every night unto new, in the pleasure of uttermost delight. I feast, rejoice. There is no dread hereafter. There is disillusion and eternal ecstasy in the kisses of new. It all depends on your own acceptance of this new law, and you are not asked to believe anything, to accept a string of foolish fables beneath the intellectual level of a bushman and the moral level of a drug fiend. All you have to do is to be yourself and do your will and to rejoice. Dost thou fail? Art thou sorry? Is fear in thine heart? He says again, where I am, these are not. There is much more of the same kind. Enough has been quoted already to make it all clear. But there's a further injunction. Wisdom says, be strong. Then canst thou bear more joy. Be not animal. Refine thy rapture. If thou drink, drink by the 98 rules of art. If thou love, exceed by delicacy. And if thou do aught joyous, let there be subtlety therein. But exceed. Strive ever to more. And if thou art truly mine, and doubt it not, and if thou art ever joyous, death is the crown of all. Lift up yourselves, my brothers and sisters of the earth. Put beneath your feet all fears, all qualms, all hesitancies. Lift yourselves up. Come forth free and joyous by night and day to do your will. For there is no law beyond do what thou wilt. Lift yourselves up. Walk forth with us in light and life and love and liberty, taking our pleasure as kings and queens in heaven and on earth. The sun is arisen. The specter of the ages has been put to flight. The word of sin is restriction, or as it has been otherwise said in this text, that is sin, to hold thine Holy Spirit in. Go on in thy might, and let no man make thee afraid. Love is the law, love under will. And that's the law of liberty, declared direct from the parking lot of Sprouts Farmers Market in Sacramento, California, on another parking lot sermon. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully, if all goes well. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.